Commander Jake Harrison stood firm on the bridge of his vessel, watching colossal alien warships glide past his seemingly insignificant fleet. To outsiders, their vessels were 10 times the size of anything humanity could construct, or so they believed. His dozen outdated Earth ships looked pitiful beside the shimmering leviathans of the Galactic Council. The reptilian Vaxari paraded their newest dreadnoughts to flaunt dominance. The aquatic Zahirians floated smugly in liquid-filled command spheres, their clicking laughter echoing through the comms. Even the crystalline Nexari had ignited their ships to full brilliance, basking in superiority over the helpless humans. Jake's expression stayed calm, but inwardly he smirked. If only these arrogant species understood Earth's truth, they would not feel so sure of themselves. For half a century, humanity had played its role as the weakest link in galactic society. Every diplomat, every officer was drilled to appear humble and backward. The aliens embraced the illusion completely. They saw only what they wished, a primitive planet hardly worth recognition. Ambassador Kresh of the Vaxari appeared on the screen, yellow eyes gleaming with disdain. His forked tongue flicked as he hissed, "Commander Harrison, your pitiful fleet will take the rear. We would not want your crude ships obstructing real warriors during our drills." Jake bowed with flawless humility as trained. "Of course, Ambassador Kresh. Earth is honored to stand beside such advanced civilizations. We know our place." The alien's laugh screeched like steam from a broken vent. "Yes, human, you do know your place. Perhaps afterward we can discuss your planet offering more raw resources. Your kind excels at little else." The channel closed, and Jake allowed himself a faint grin. Raw materials, indeed. If Kresh only knew that Earth had been stripping asteroids and barren worlds. For decades, stockpiling enough to fuel galactic industry for centuries. Deep beneath Colorado's mountains, Admiral Lisa Morgan walked corridors that officially did not exist. The concealed command complex sprawled for miles, hewn into stone and shielded from all known detection. Thousands of specialists monitored, the true human armadas scattered through the void. Project Deep Shadow had been humanity's greatest secret for 50 years. While the galaxy scoffed at Earth's 12 token vessels, hidden fleets were forged that could make ancient empires. Quake. Morgan paused before a massive display mapping every Phantom fleet. Captain Ryan Brooks's Phantom Armada, 3,000 ships, hid between Sol and Alpha Centauri. Admiral Scott Davis's Shadow Fleet lurked past Pluto, wrapped in stealth undetectable to any sensor known. Dozens more fleets waited in the dark, each greater than the combined strength of the entire Council Navy. The aliens believed themselves masters of the stars, yet never thought to look where nothing should exist. Captain Brooks floated in zero gravity aboard his flagship Nightfall, overseeing silent drills. His warship dwarfed any Vaxari design, though officially it did not exist. Its stealth derived from alien ruins unearthed on Mars, relics of civilizations, who had once faced terrors so dire they devised weapons to vanish entire fleets. Humanity spent 3 decades decoding the tech, 2 more perfecting it. Now his crews checked weapons that could shatter worlds and shields that could endure stellar detonations. Every soul among the Phantom Armada knew their role. They were the hidden blade of Earth, awaiting the moment to reveal what humanity truly was. Brooks remembered his first meeting with Admiral Morgan 5 years earlier, when she had told him he would one day save not just Earth, but free worlds across the stars. Then it had sounded impossible. Now it was destiny. Back on Earth, Intelligence Officer Karen Davis scanned reports from human spies scattered through alien space. The news was grim, though expected. 3 dominant powers prepared to carve Earth apart once it became useless. The Vaxari wanted its oceans for spawning grounds. The Zahirians marked its continents for strip mining. The Nexari intended to transform human cities into crystal growth farms. Yet in all their plotting, they overlooked one truth. Humans were only pretending. Vaxari reports dismissed Earth's defenses as laughable. Zahirian scouts labeled cities undefended and ripe for conquest. Nexari surveyors chose farming sites without imagining humans might resist becoming fertilizer. Karen sealed the files and sent Morgan an encrypted alert. The timeline was accelerating. Within 6 months, the invasion would begin. The council would brand it mercy, the erasure of a failed race. Some delegates might protest, but most would accept the justification. The irony was flawless. Those preparing to destroy humanity for weakness would soon face the most formidable power the galaxy had ever known. Morgan had prepared since the day Earth learned it was not alone. Every insult, every humiliation from alien races was recorded. When humanity revealed itself, they would remember who honored them and who saw prey. Commander Harrison received the coded signal while enduring yet another humiliating drill behind alien formations. Its words were simple, its meaning absolute. Phase 2 begins within the month. Soon the galaxy would learn how deceiving appearances could be, and how the despised species they dismissed would become their salvation. Emergency alerts reached Earth at 3 a.m., while most of the planet slept. Admiral Morgan was awake, watching. Reports flood into her mountain bunker. The ancient Draor Empire had surged back from the galactic rim, their vast black armadas shaking every civilization to its core. They appeared without warning in a dozen star systems, unleashing destruction, unseen in millennia. First reports came from distant colonies, where Vaxari mining stations simply vanished from all contact. Within hours, entire Zahirian worlds went silent as Draor fleets surged through their regions like a black tide, consuming everything in their wake. The Nexari crystal ships, once beacons of dominance, shattered into glowing shards drifting like dying stars. The galaxy was seeing true power, and it was terrifying. Commander Jake Harrison received his official summons while his small fleet still pretended to conduct routine drills near Jupiter. The Galactic Council ordered every species to commit all forces to repel the Draor invasion. Ambassador Kresh reappeared on his screen, a shadow of the arrogant figure from weeks before. His yellow eyes glimmered with fear, tongue flickering nervously as he spoke. "Human Commander, your kind must contribute every vessel. Even the most primitive will be needed." Jake nodded with practiced humility. "Of course, Ambassador. Earth will sacrifice its fleet if required. We stand ready." The Vaxari seemed relieved at human compliance, though he privately dismissed their role as meaningless. Colonel Danny Parker directed Earth's official response from his command vessel, secretly coordinating with hidden armadas through secure channels. The 12 visible ships began their voyage toward the warfront, while alien observers assumed they were marching to certain, futile deaths. The Vaxari fleet commander even remarked that human ships might serve as distractions while true warriors engaged the enemy. Meanwhile, the Draor advanced with merciless precision, their fleets annihilating all resistance. Emperor Vexthul's broadcasts declared a return to the galaxy's natural order, where the strong ruled and the weak only served or perished. His voice carried the weight of 10 million years of domination, his empire once having ruled vast sectors before. Vanishing into the rim to grow ever stronger, General Amy Foster received the long-awaited authorization codes. After 2 decades of preparation, Phase 2 had officially begun. Across hidden shipyards of the outer system, Admiral Pete Johnson activated reserve armadas that had waited silently in cryogenic storage. The Crimson Tide, Void Hunters, Steel, Phantoms, and dozens more formations began drifting toward the warfront under cloaks of stealth, unseen by friend or foe alike. In secret facilities, Captain Bobby Chen pushed his engineers to finalize humanity's deadliest innovations. Aliens had always dismissed humans as technologically inferior, never realizing Earth pursued subtler, deadlier paths. While others built larger, louder war machines, humanity forged weapons designed to end wars before the enemy understood they had begun. Temporal disruptors to freeze fleets in place, phase cannons piercing any shield, and quantum bombs collapsing matter itself were merely the opening act of Earth's hidden arsenal. The Draor rampage deepened as their siege engines cracked planets into dust clouds. Billions fled their homes in frantic refugee flotillas that clogged hyperlanes and overwhelmed crumbling defenses. Civilizations that had ruled for millennia now tasted helplessness, their great technologies and ancient wisdom, meaningless before the returned empire's raw might. Admiral Morgan studied tactical displays as Council forces collapsed, 60% of their combined strength lost in only a month. The Vaxari's primary fleets were destroyed in a single reckless stand. The Zahirians fared no better. Their aquatic-based systems evaporated by weapons designed to boil oceans. Even the enigmatic Nexari watched their crystal vessels splinter under barrages of dark energy that corroded reality itself. Captain Ryan Brooks received new directives from Deep Space Command as the Phantom Armada glided toward the final warfront. His 3,000 hidden ships had drilled tirelessly in the void, waiting for the moment humanity would finally step from the shadows. Humanity had long been considered one of the weakest members of the Galactic Council. Yet these ships wielded technology surpassing even the greatest triumphs of Vexthul's empire. Commander Tony Garcia led his stealth destroyers through impossible maneuvers, phasing in and out of existence to evade enemy fire while tearing apart. Draori command vessels. His ships could shift intangible at will, sliding through enemy hulls like phantoms before solidifying inside vital systems to plant quantum charges that detonated with stellar force. What was meant to be the galaxy's final enslavement instead became a revelation of human supremacy that left every observer stunned. The species dismissed as primitive and useless was systematically dismantling the most feared military force of the last 10 million years. Emperor Vexthul's certainty faltered as he realized his empire had not returned to conquer the weak. It had stumbled into the grasp of beings far deadlier than anything encountered in his endless reign of terror. His ancient mind struggled to comprehend as human ships shredded his armadas with weapons that violated every principle of warfare he had mastered across eons of conquest. His flagship convulsed under temporal cannon fire, blasts striking from multiple points in time at once, while phase torpedoes materialized inside his shields to rupture the armored core. Dark energy barriers that had protected Draor vessels for millennia shattered under focused quantum disruptors. Captain Maria Rodriguez commanded her squadrons through unfathomable attack patterns, wielding tools that reduced Draor arsenals to relics. Her temporal disruptors encased entire ships in frozen moments stretched into eternity, leaving them helpless as her gunners dissected them with precision. The ancient empire that had enslaved galaxies was learning the price of underestimating an adversary who had spent 50 years engineering this confrontation. The Draor sought retreat, but found escape impossible. Admiral Scott Davis's retribution. Fleet sealed every route, his vessels blinking across light years with quantum entanglement drives, while reality anchors denied hyperspace and faster-than-light escape. Commander Garcia's stealth destroyers unleashed true horror, phasing into Draor flagships to plant temporal mines detonating in the past, erasing targets from existence itself. His crews, trained for decades beyond Pluto, had mastered forms of combat unimaginable to other species. The clash devolved into execution, humanity's weapons eclipsing Draor might in every measure. Captain Jerry Phillips directed humanitarian rescue fleets to save survivors from disabled vessels, extending mercy to enemies who had shown none across millennia. Alien observers could not ignore the contrast. Humans embodied both unstoppable power and startling compassion. Emperor Vexthul's last attempt to rally collapsed as his commands fell silent. Captain Bobby Chen's cyber warfare divisions had already penetrated every Draor system with quantum viruses existing across dimensions, undetectable and irremovable by conventional means. The Empire's proud technology betrayed them, twisted into tools of surrender. Defeat settled like a crushing weight upon the Dryor as they faced extinction at the hands of a species unknown to them only days before. Admiral Brandon Lee's patrols enclosed the remnants, his ships appearing to occupy multiple coordinates simultaneously, their weapons striking flawlessly from angles beyond physics. News of humanity's triumph rippled across the galaxy faster than light, carried by quantum networks. The primitive race had not only annihilated the greatest threat civilization had faced, but had also revealed themselves as the most advanced military force the galaxy had ever seen. Political shockwaves spread as governments everywhere realized. They had shared the stars with beings who could have conquered them at any moment. Captain Steve Russell directed the establishment of human-controlled occupation zones around the fallen Dryor domains. Human forces secured Draymore strongholds. As engineers began dismantling weapons capable of annihilating whole star systems, the Empire's technology was ancient and formidable, but clumsy beside human advances that bent the very laws of reality. Where the Draymore had needed eons of incremental progress, humanity had surpassed them in mere decades of relentless innovation. From her command ship, Admiral Chris Morgan launched the Galactic Peace Initiative, while human diplomats opened communication with countless refugee fleets that had fled before the Empire's brutal conquest. Races whose civilizations had been shattered now found unexpected safety under the protection of the very species their leaders had mocked only months earlier. Medical ships carried technologies that repaired bodies on a cellular scale, and construction. Fleets raised colonies anew with materials stronger and more resilient than anything known to galactic science. The last Draymore resistance ended when Emperor Vexthul's flagship was captured intact by a human boarding team that walked through shields and hull as though through mist. Captain Alex Turner accepted the tyrant's surrender in the same throne, room where unnumbered civilizations had once begged for mercy. The irony was undeniable. A being who had offered no compassion now faced adversaries who demonstrated the mercy he had never understood. The final battle concluded not in desperate survival, but in humanity's decisive triumph over a force thought unstoppable. In mere hours, the Draymore Empire that had terrorized the stars for 10 million years lay in ruins. The very species they had sought to enslave now stood victorious, wielding technology that made the Empire's crowning achievements appear childish toys. Never again would the galaxy underestimate humanity or any race judged by appearances instead of capability. And resolve. Great ships converged on Earth from every quadrant, carrying envoys who arrived not as rulers or equals, but as petitioners, pleading for clemency from the people they had once derided. Among the first was Ambassador Kresh of the Vaxari, his yellow, eyes no longer burning with contempt, but dulled with shame. He remembered each insult he had hurled at humankind, and now his reptilian hands trembled as he drafted speeches begging forgiveness, offering tribute to those he had once dismissed as worthless primitives. Queen Zalandra of the Nixari descended from her crystal vessel clad not in regal finery, but in robes of surrender. Her crystalline form, once radiant with pride, seemed suddenly fragile as she awaited audience with human leaders capable of erasing her civilization with a single command. Other dignitaries observed in silence, for if even the imperious Nexari queen could be humbled, no one remained beyond humanity's reach.